Walter Brueggemann has said about the Bible, and mostly about the Old Testament because he's a scholar of the Old Testament, but he said, the heart of the Bible is not the presentation of history, but a font of imagination that hosts a world other than the one we see in front of us. The Bible is not a presentation of history, but a font of imagination. We are in the season of Epiphany. We are in a season of revelation, waking up, seeing, dawning. Join those impulses of Epiphany to our readings today and to this font of imagination. We imagined it with the children in the call story of Samuel. Thank you, Zach. Now you uncovered a gift that I see now. The Lord shall lead us in how we will use it. Now, did Samuel's story exactly happen like that? I don't know. We don't know. That's not really the point of the story, the presentation of a history. The point is, there is another world revealing itself, even to a child at the right time. There is another world breaking into the reality of Samuel serving God and faithful Eli. The point of the story is God is speaking a new word to and through an 11 or 12-year-old boy. And can we imagine that? God calls out, and Samuel finally says, "Speak, I'm here." And what he hears is, "I am about to do something new." This is why Brueggemann, a scholar of Old Testament prophets, interprets the heart of the Bible to be like that, imagination. Because God is calling, sometimes out of nowhere, sometimes through a nobody. God is persistently calling. I've not forgotten you. I am here on your behalf. I am a creator making all things new. Behold, see, Epiphany. And Psalm 139 is epiphanic, full of imagination, and interestingly, in a slightly different way, this is a psalm of relationship and intimacy. It takes Samuel's experience and I think multiplies it by 10 or 100 or some infinite value. The psalmist says, "Lord, you've searched and known me, my rising and my lying down, my journeys. You encompass me. Since before I was and whatever I will be, you are, you have been, and how great you are, Creator." The psalmist takes whatever is closest to you, whatever could be closest to you, imagining proximity dialed down to our very essence, and then existing there and full or worshiping there, saying, "You are so close to me as to be my truth and my home, God. Everything I am is yours. I am fully seen and known. Nothing is hidden." What a font of imagination that sometimes could be scary, right? Or offensive. Whoa, do I want something that close, really? Something or someone that knows me like that. But we know from the poetics and the way we sang it together, this is a song of release and rapture. The songwriter isn't resisting, rather existing in this revelation of God. We could take Psalm 139, and because it mentions the womb, we could argue today about abortion. But the song isn't an argument. The song is an epiphanic proclamation. The sun has come up, and I'm in its light. I am not hidden. I am known. And it goes with Brueggemann's point. Many times we take the heart of scriptures And it's like we try to squeeze them or push them or fit them into the systems of our world and our culture. We want some advice from the Bible. Or we'll search it for facts that were meant just for us, that might emphasize our systems and how we work with them. We might try to understand it all and then argue to our hearts or to others. Here is a presentation of history. Meanwhile, 11-year-olds are waking up in the night, traipsing across sacred ground saying, "Who is calling me? Is it you, Eli?" No, it's God, talking about a new world. And singers are heartily belting, "I am fearfully and wonderfully made. Wonderful is what you make. I know it full well." That's one of those church phrases, right? Do we ever say full well in like the course of the world? But somehow Christians know and Jewish folks know, oh, full well, yes. I know it full well. Okay, the font of imagination. One more example. In our gospel today, the character Nathaniel. It seems like he's ready to place things in the presentation of history. He's thinking about how systems work because when Philip is found, and Philip doesn't have any information about Jesus, but he goes off telling others like Nathaniel. He tells Nathaniel, "We found the one, Neo, the ring bearer." Philip doesn't say much more than that, but he says, hey, the Messiah, about whose story we have imagined, we found him, Jesus of Nazareth. And then there's a glimpse into ourselves with Nathaniel, showing us what we look like when the good news is met with our less than imaginative assumptions. Nathaniel is the one that says, "Nazareth, really? Can anything good come from Nazareth?" I've heard a great preacher from Minnesota talk about this passage, or really she was talking about the birth of Jesus and Mary. But she mentions Nazareth, and she told the Minnesota congregation, it's like Jesus being born or coming from a trailer park in Reno, Nevada. True story, they used us. And they used what they think of where we live to say that's how out of the way and forgotten Nazareth is, like a Reno trailer park. And I say, touche, Debbie Blue, because this is real for us. What you've done, mentioning Reno, is showing us who live here that what we imagine might be possible. Good could come from a place like here. We imagine it. We dream it. We have dreams for our community and our children and our grandchildren. Happy Martin Luther King Jr. Day. We have dreams from this place. So instead of arguing with her, I could say, well, actually, there's a growing economy in northern Nevada, and the quality of life index is up because there are many leisurely activities in Reno, Tahoe. But what if it's not about the presentation of history or the preservation of the system of Washoe County? But what if I took a hint from the heart of the Bible where we encounter these stories as a font of imagination, and ultimately that God and Christ and the Spirit are calling people and doing new things in many places, calling us to come and see? What good spirit could be alive in Reno, Nevada? Behold, you will see even greater things than these, Jesus says. This is good news today, these stories from the font. They wake us up to the closeness of God and to a perpetual blessing that we practice and we emphasize in Epiphany. We are invited again. Come and see. We are invited, like Nathaniel, to lay aside worldly cultural perceptions and to feel the gospel's imagination, goodness, truth, and peace. Nathaniel says that to Philip. Can anything good come from there? And then they get to go see Jesus. As Nathanael is approaching, Jesus says, "Here is truly an Israelite in whom there is no deceit." Which basically means, here's someone who isn't hiding anything. It's a strange thing to say to someone just coming to you. But it's interesting because of where it goes next. Nathanael knows this is strange. He says, "Where did you get to know me?" Jesus says, "I saw you under the fig tree before Philip called you." Talk about being seen. We don't know about this story, but we're assuming this is far away. Like, you can't see it. How did Jesus see him? And we know it from Nathanael's reaction. Something strange is going on. And nowhere in the story before have we heard of a fig tree. Figs aren't especially mentioned in the scriptures. I mean, they're there, but they're not an outstanding tree in the story of the people, except if you think about hiding and guile or deceit. If you think about covering up so as to not be seen, well, then there's an unmistakable mention early in the human story. Do you know it? Genesis chapter 3. They ate the fruit. Then the eyes of both were opened, and they knew they were naked, and they sewed fig leaves together and made loincloths for themselves. Deceit and guile and hiding and a fig tree. These are all images of our first great disconnection from God when the humans realized, we're exposed, let's cover up, let's hide, let's use fig leaves. And Jesus says to this man, here's someone who doesn't hide. Nathanael is clearly caught off guard. I'm sorry, do I know you? I saw you under the fig tree. That's all Jesus says before Nathanael does a 180 and then out of nowhere says, Rabbi, you are the Son of God. You are the King of Israel. Maybe it was something Jesus communicated in a look. Maybe it was the presence of Jesus. But perhaps it was also that Jesus said, I saw you under the fig tree. Nathanael, maybe he knows, oh, I've been seen by the God of creation, the God that went walking in the cool of the day, calling to those hiding, where are you? Where's our relationship? Come out. The God who called to Adam and Eve, come out from behind the fig trees. Maybe Nathanael understands the cosmic Christ saying, I saw you under the fig tree, but you don't have to hide who you are. Not with me. I'm not here to highlight your shame or to capitalize on it. I'm here to speak new life. You and I don't have to trick each other. I love you with a Creator's love, a Psalm 139 kind of love. And I saw you when you were hidden under the fig tree. But you've been called out. And here we are. Jesus doesn't shame him at all, but says, you'll see greater things than this. You're going to see heaven opened up. So come to the font of imagination. The God of creation and relationship calls followers in their flesh to a way of light and life. God calls you and me and our community too. Do not be ashamed. Here with this one, your God, you do not have to hide. You and I have been spotted under the fig trees. And Jesus still calls us good and beloved. It is a gift of this God. Come and see, we keep saying.